Hey there, sheepdoggers, and welcome to a Blood Bowl 2 tip and guide and help video. Now, I've been trying to think about how to do this because it's actually kind of a rough deal. It's hard to be able to do a kind of tip video and still give you guys some kind of visuals to go along with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a team. Let's go with Valkyria will be a decent choice. You can see the team here. It's a very very non-standard team, to be honest. You can see I've got strength 4, agility 5, agility 5. I've got guard on this dude. I've got movement on this guy. It's been a rough one for this team. You can see like losing 3-0 there. There's a 2-2 here. We might go with this one, as it's a decent. You know, it's I think it's high elf versus dark elf. So yeah, there you go. That's not too bad. So let's chuck this replay on, and I'm going to talk about the elf teams and the Skaven team, and which skills to get for who and when, and just generally touch on the skills from regards from the kind of perspective of an agility style player, and also just, you know, just to kind of give you an idea, like if you're not sure where to go with a player, I'll touch on some kind of some things you may want to go for. So with an agility team, the most important thing to remember is you're not going to be wanting to destroy an opposing side. Your objective, your objective is to... I may just turn this down very more slightly. Sorry, guys. There we go. Your objective very much is to kind of get the ball, if they have the ball, and get a touchdown. Passing, running, however. Now, for example, with a high elf team, a thrower is a great person to have. You know, for example, he starts with safe throw, starts with pass. You know, kind of accurate and those kind of things can really help you. It means it's very difficult to get an interception against them, and if you run a few people behind the lines, then you know you're kind of set. Also, runner is another great example. The Dark Elf runner has dump off, which means if he gets blocked or blitzed or anything, you can very much throw the ball to another player. And with all agility 4, it's a great way to use up the blitz and still retain the ball for your go. Okay, so first off, this is an example of a high elf lineman. He's got 2 levels, so he's level 3, and he has block and dodge. What people refer to as blodge, for those of you who are new to the game. And when all else fails, block and dodge on an agility team is valid, because nearly all of them will have general skills and they will have agility skills. And block means you can't be knocked down by a both down result, which is the skull with the explosion. And dodge means you can't get knocked down by the explosion with the exclamation mark, which is like defender stumbles. So it's a very useful thing to have. It means the only thing that can actually knock you down is getting a skull when you're attacking with a block, or if you get a just pure explosion, a pure defender down, which is what just came up there. So from here on forth, I'm going to assume that you guys know what all the dice rolls are. You know, the kind of explosion is the defender goes down. The explosion with the exclamation mark is defender stumbles. The skull with the explosion is both players go down. The arrow is a push, no one goes down. the skull is a attacker goes down. Okay, so first thing I want to say is if you are ever unsure, block and dodge. They are great starting skills if you have no idea what to give your player. Block especially. Most teams will be running block on the majority of their players. And not only does it mean you won't get a turnover and, you know, maybe lose the ball or anything like that, it also means that you're... so there's a push, for example. It also means that if they don't have block, you can force turnovers. And the number of times you will play against a Lizardman team whose Sauruses don't have block, or an Orc team whose Black Orcs don't have block, or Chaos team whose Chaos Warriors don't have block. And if they get like a skull and are both down, all that means is that's a turnover, or they have to use their rerolls. So you see, for example, there both got block, no one went down. Talking about other kind of general skills, for elf teams, and also, you know, also for Skaven teams, Dauntless is a great choice. Basically what that does is if you try and block an opponent with a stronger strength stat than that player, you roll a d6 and add your player's strength to it. If it's above the strength of, you know, the player you're attacking, you act as if you have the same strength as them. So, for example, say I was playing against an Orc team here, and this guy was blocking against this guy. This was a strength 4 dude. If he had Dauntless, it means you roll a d6, and unless you roll a 1, you act as if you have 4 strength. And you got the +1 there, that would be 2 dice. It's a great way to, you know, if you have 1, maybe 2 players with block and Dauntless, it's a great way to deal with Orc teams. You know, again, if you have stats, if you have a couple of players with strength 4, just because you rolled, you know, plus strength on your level up, then of course that's great. But if you don't do that, you know, it's not always guaranteed. That's a great way to deal with it. Another great thing, especially for the Skaven, also Bretonnian, you know, we're not talking about Bretonnian right now, but also for Bretonnian, is Dirty Player. Add 1 to an armor or injury roll made by the player with this skill when they make a foul. And basically what that means is you're more likely to injure and break armor when you foul someone. And this is great for one specific player who's not particularly good, you know, who you won't be needing, especially if you have spare players. There's the dump off right there. Especially if you have spare players and the like. So, Dirty Player, if you've got a player with an armor issue or a movement issue or anything like that, you can use him as basically a hitman to go in and try and, you know, you knock down a valuable player, like say you're playing against the Orcs and you have an Orc thrower, you know, he starts with sure hands. If you get rid of that Orc, he won't have the automatic reroll for pickups. It's going to make it more difficult for him to pick up the ball. You know, same as if you have oh damn, I'm pretty sure that's a famous double 1. Oh no. So yeah, you know, that's a great choice. Now, other great choices in the general skills, we're just talking about general skills here. Kick, again, if you have already picked block on a player and you're not really sure what to get after that, you can get kick and give it to your defender. You know, I tend to always leave one player all the way back. If you give kick to your defender, then he's got block. Maybe consider giving him wrestle instead. We'll get to wrestle. But for now, let's just assume he has block tackle. If you give him kick, you keep him right at the back, he kicks the ball, and then he's just there for anyone who breaks through. Great choice. Again, Frenzy, we can actually luckily see Frenzy here. When this player blocks an opponent and pushes them, they follow and do a second block. Now, this isn't as useful in general. I'd say it's very kind of specific. With for example, a high elf team, you may want to consider waiting until you have a strength 4 elf. You know, if you have a strength 4 elf, if you have someone very, very very agile and the ability to kind of, you know, dodge out and move, you know, Frenzy's a decent choice, and it's a threat against players who play wide. So it's a great choice when you're playing wide. I wouldn't advise it in general, but it is an option, and it is something you should always consider if you're not sure and you've already got block, you've got dodge, you've got, you know, you've got your kick player. Kickoff return, yeah. Kickoff return, again, if you can't think of anything to give to your thrower, maybe a catcher, or gutter runner, for example. Kickoff return is a decent choice. It lets you, once the kickoff has been kicked, it lets you move 3 squares at kickoff. So it's a decent choice. Again, pass block isn't terrible. It's not one I'd advise in general, but it's definitely a choice. Whether you want to use it or not, I'll leave up to you. Basically, you can move 3 squares to attempt an interception on a pass. It's a free move out of turn, but you still have to, you know, move and dodge and everything. It can be good, especially if you like trying to get the interceptions. But, you know, as I said, it's not something I'd necessarily advise. If anything, it would be a later game skill to pick up. Or if you literally just want a very specialized player, it's another option. One really great thing to have is Pro. Now, if you've got block dodge already, there are other things you can get that are more useful, but Pro will let you re-roll on a 50-50 chance, will let you re-roll a failed action. And if you don't want to use up those re-rolls, if you don't want too many re-rolls on your team, you know, taking up your team value, which is a big problem for elves, then getting Pro on a fair few number of your specialized players, your catchers, maybe not your catchers, but, you know, anyone who's going to be making dodges, like a witch elf is a great example for Pro. So yeah, Pro's a good choice. But again, it's probably a later choice. Strip Ball is an amazing skill. I'd advise, for example, if you're playing Dark Elves, you already have block, get at least one Blitzer with Strip Ball, and I'm pretty sure I have one around here. Although I may be proven wrong because he may have gotten injured. There he is. Okay, so Andraste here is my Strip Baller. He's got block, dauntless, and strip ball. And when I'm attacking, when I have the ball, I use him to take out big guys or take out Black Orcs and Chaos Warriors and stuff. When he's defending, I keep him at the back. I use him as support, and then I also use him defensively to take out anyone who has the ball. Because basically what it does is when you push a player, they drop the ball. They're not knocked down, but they do drop the ball into the square, in the square they're pushed back into. So what that means is, pretty much, you can get the ball off anyone. Oh, unless they have sure hands, the sure hand skill, which we'll get to next. So what that means is you will very much be using a strip ball character, if you can, to get the ball off people. You know, because, like, for example, a Dark Elf with block dodge, if you don't have tackle, it's going to be really hard to knock them down. You've got to get lucky, or you've got to get 3 dice. You may have to use rerolls. You'll be tempted to use rerolls. And with their agility and their dodge, it can become very, very tricky. So, my advice is strip ball, definitely. On a blitzer, on someone with block, use them as an offensive force mostly. Again, sure hands, new skill. Sure hands is able to re-roll the result if they fail to pick up the ball. And also, of course, strip ball doesn't work against them. So great for a ball carrier, great for a thrower, because obviously usually they're picking up the ball. So, you know, something like sure hands and kickoff return is a good choice for a thrower. We'll get into other stuff that's good for a thrower as well, obviously, because we're talking about agility teams here. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, the general idea. And again, tackle and wrestle. Now these are more defensive skills in an agility team. If we're talking about a strength team, tackle is probably more of an offensive skill. You know, it's to get injuries and stuff. As an agility team, when you play against other teams with dodge, tackle is very useful because it cancels out the dodge skill. So any opposing player who tries to either dodge out of your tackle zone can't reroll using dodge. And if you get the defender stumbles, block result, it will knock them over and they'll have to have an armor roll instead of the usual just getting pushed. So that there, you know, if I had dodge there, I would just be pushed. I'd still be standing up. If I had dodge and he had tackle, he would have still knocked me down. And finishing off the kind of general ideas, wrestle. A player with wrestle may choose to ignore both down result during a block by placing both players prone. No armor rolls are made, and it doesn't cause a turnover. This is a great skill for a blitzer. You know, if you don't want to rely on sure hands, or if you don't want to rely on strip ball, or maybe you want strip ball and wrestle, it means if you get both down, for example there, say that just happened, that attack, and it was against a ball carrier, he could choose to put both of his players down on the ground and the ball would go free. But there's no turnover, so it'd still be his turn, and he could use his players to get the ball in his hands. Even if both sides have block, wrestle still works. So you can choose, even if you have block, you can choose to do both down and then use the skill wrestle. And even though both players have block, they'll still be put on the ground. So it's a great way to get the ball. And especially as an agility team, who's usually outmanned, it means doing a one dice is actually fairly safe. So let's just kind of round up that kind of thing. So my advice is a couple of players with Dauntless, one player with Dirty Player, a player with Kick. Pro is a nice late move. Block, always, if you don't know, block. A few players with Strip Ball, a player with Sure Hands. Tackle and Wrestle are great second skills. And just generally think about those as options. You know, every time you're unsure, whichever team you're playing with, take block. And if you can, maybe take dodge. That's a double one. I think, is that a double? No, it's a 2 and a 1. But still, it's a fail and it annoys me. So for agility, we're talking about agility teams here. So for agility, agility skills are key. Now, the ones I'll say instantly: catch, dodge, sure feet. Catch lets you re-roll a catch, interception, or dropped handoff. So if you fail an interception, you can re-roll it. If you fail a catch, you can re-roll it. If you fail a handoff, you can re-roll it. And it doesn't use up your re-rolls. And this is the thing about elf teams, is they tend to not have as many re-rolls because they're already a really expensive team. So catch is great on anyone, or just if you're not sure, if you're not sure and you've got a player with plus movement or something like that, think about giving them catch. Diving catch. Let's carry on for now. Dodge gets you to reroll a dodge. Again, ouch. It's a great one to minimize the number of rerolls you have to do. And with an elf team, most of the time, all you need is a 2+ to dodge anyway. So it almost guarantees you an entire turn of dodging. If all of your players have dodge, and you have four agility, you can dodge all of your players safely out of a tackle zone without worrying about rerolls and things like that. And then finally, Sure Feet is a similar idea. It lets you reroll go for it. And in an elf team, a lot of the time, you'll be wanting to go for it. So, you know, it's a great choice for any ball carrier, for any catcher, to, again, minimize your rerolls. You know, your go for it rerolls will always be 1. So, it's a great choice. Okay, so kind of secondary agility skills that you might want to take. Diving catch. The player gets +1 modifier to catch accurate passes and may catch balls landing in adjacent squares as if they landed in this current square. Basically means if a ball lands near you, then you can catch the ball still. Not amazing, but definitely something you'd want to think about. I can hear my voice going. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still getting over my being ill. I'm still getting over being ill, so obviously, you know, I lost my voice. It's just coming back. I shouldn't be talking so much, but I wanted to get a tip video done. And I want to start getting, you know, there's still some tip videos that need to be done. I want to start them getting going. Jump Up is a great choice. Probably tertiary, I'd say, a kind of third tier skill, but it lets you stand up if you've been knocked over, and it lets you stand up if you've been knocked over, and you can still use the standard movement that you have. So yeah, you know, it's a great choice for your more agile players. Like for example, for the Skaven, it's great for a gutter runner because it means you can get knocked over, still jump up and run around. Sprint is probably a first tier option. That drop, man, that drop. Sprint is probably a first tier action skill to get because it goes so well with Sure Feet. A player with block, dodge, sprint, Sure Feet, for example, is a goal scorer. You know, and if you think about a Skaven gutter runner, he already has dodge, so you give him block as his first skill, sprint and Sure Feet. He can move 9. He can move 9 spaces already. So if we go like here, say you start him here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So with sprint, you get an extra going for it spot. So instead of 2 for going for it, you can do 3. So you can almost, as a Skaven, get a 1-turn touchdown. And the thing the Skaven can do is if one of their gutter runners gets movement allowance 10 and sprint Sure Feet, etc., you can actually get a 1-turn touchdown, which is so strong. So, sprint, Sure Feet, great combo. The other skills, Sneaky Git. During a foul action, player with this skill is not sent off by the referee for rolling doubles on the armor roll if it doesn't break the armor. So basically what that does is if you foul someone and it doesn't cause at least a stun, then what you can do is you can sorry, there you go. What you can do is you can it will basically not count as a send-off. So if you give that to your dirty player, then you have a player who is much more likely to injure someone, and if they don't injure someone, they won't be sent off. It's a nice combo. And yeah, it's a great option, again, for a kind of hitman. You know, if you see someone with strength 4 or agility 5 or something, or like a gutter runner with 10 movement allowance and sprint. If you knock them down... Sorry, my voice is really going. If you knock them down, you can, in effect, you can take them out of the game, hopefully. But even if you fail with Sneaky Git, it means that you're foul. You can have another shot. if you fail to break their armor. And it can be worth it. Ironically, mostly as a Skaven player, you know, one of your linemen, they're so cheap, you can have an extra lineman who's just there as a hitman. But it can work for the elves as well, so do consider it. The last one I'm going to talk about is Leap. Now, the War Dancers, the Wood Elf War Dancers start with Leap, and it is a great skill. The player can leap over another player. For the leap to be successful, the player must pass an agility test without any modifiers. If the player is successful, the player falls to the ground. Unsuccessful, sorry, the player falls to the ground. Basically what this means is you can kind of set it up with things like strip ball or wrestle, so that you can jump into a cage with your agility and then deal with the ball carrier. It's a great way to get the ball on the ground, you know, especially with things like wrestle. So, you know, again, it's not a first tier, it's not a first choice, but for a blitzer, for someone going after the ball carrier, it's a nice thing to consider. For passing skills, you know, on any agility team, I'd say leader's a great choice, gives you an extra reroll, you know, and if you have a thrower or a runner in the, I think it's the runner, just let me check, that's what they're called. Where is my runner? Does he have the ball? Yeah, there he is. For example, the runner, when he rolls, he can choose from the passing skills. So, sorry. Yeah, leader's a great choice because it gives you an extra reroll and it doesn't up your team value as much as an actual reroll would. However, it will make him a target. If you're a throwing team, then my advice is accurate, which adds 1 when you pass. So, you know, it's as if you're throwing with a 5. That hurt. That legitimately hurt. It's as if you're throwing with a 5 agility player, which is great. Nerves of Steel, again, really useful, and actually really useful for catchers as well. The player ignores modifiers for enemy tackle zones when they attempt to pass, catch, or intercept. So, you know, it's a great choice to go for. Because it basically means, like, if you're completely surrounded, you can still use your agility 4 to catch the ball. So a couple of catches with that is wonderful, especially for a solid passing team like the High Elves, for example. Hail Mary pass, you can throw this ball anywhere in the pitch. The pass is never accurate, so it basically means, you know, you can get the ball out of your half and into the enemy half. Very, very useful, but risky. So, you know, maybe not. Pass, reroll if you throw inaccurate passes or fumbles. Again, a useful one to have, but not a top one. You know, most of the throwers will already have it. Safe throw is one of those ones that's good for like a Wood Elf team. So you have a thrower a good first choice is safe throw, because the Wood Elves tend to run behind the enemy lines with all their linemen and their war dancers, and then throw past the enemy. So safe throw makes it less likely to get an interception. And again, same for High Elves, but they already have it. If you want to run a throwing Dark Elf team, again, safe throw is a good choice. Or if you find yourself throwing a lot and using kind of the tactics of High Elves and Wood Elves, again, you know, it's a good choice. And also for Skaven as well. It's not a terrible idea if you manage it to get a gutter runner with safe throw. If you're running a Skaven team, or even a Dark Elf team, they tend to be a bit more running, and even a Wood Elf team as well, they tend to be more running than passing. So good choices for that dump off. The Dark Elves start with it, but you can always give it to another player if you want. What that basically does is let you do a quick pass, very short throw area, but very useful. It basically lets you keep a hold of the ball even if your player gets knocked down. You have to decide whether to use it as you're being blocked so you don't see the results, but still. I'm going to try my best to get through this, guys, but I can hear my voice starting to go. So that's pretty much everything in regards to passing skill. I'm not going to talk about mutations. I will do a mutation-specific video where I talk about where you'd want to get them and why and etc. But for now, we'll just finish with the strength skills. So the strength skills I would advise on any kind of elf team, specifically an elf team, is guard. First one is probably guard. If it's your thrower, then maybe strong arm. The rest of them are mostly, I'd say mostly not worth it. If you roll doubles, as a Skaven, you're probably more likely to go mutation. As an elf, you're probably going to take guard. And that would be my advice. If you roll 2 doubles and you want to get a strength skill again, well, I'd say probably Mighty Blow would be a choice. The rest of them, break tackle isn't worth it. Grab, again, you can use it, but it's kind of a secondary one. Grab lets you choose where to push someone in order to kind of position them. Can be useful with a blitzer and etc., but I don't tend to take it for the most part. I'd say, it can be a useful situational, so you may want to grab it for one of your players, maybe if they get strength, +1 strength or something, but aside from that, probably not. Juggernaut, if player performs a blitz action, the opposing players may not use their fend, stand firm, or wrestle skills against blocks. Again, it's a bit more of an aggressive thing. It's not really that useful for an elf team. For the most part, some people may disagree. Mighty Blow adds +1 to any armor roll. Yeah, decent. I'd say if you manage to get strength and then a double, or maybe if you get if for example the Storm Vermin on the Skaven team have strength as a natural, so you don't have to roll doubles, it's a great choice to go with strength, Mighty Blow, especially if you get Claw, which we'll talk about in another thing, but regardless. Multiple block, not worth it. You probably won't have anyone with strength that high. Piling on is a possibility. You can choose someone to have piling on. If the opponent's knocked down, the player can throw himself on top of them, provides a reroll for armor or injury roll. The player ends up on the ground. So maybe, you can give it to someone with 4 strength and jump up, for example. That'd be a decent choice. So, piling on is a possibility, especially if you want more chance to injure when you get the opportunity. Stand firm can work, but it's mostly useful for cages and things like that. So, if you're going to be running a bit of more of a running game, more of a ball carrying game, then consider stand firm if you get doubles, but for the most part, I'd say no. Strong arm reduces the distance considered when you throw. Yeah, it's useful on your thrower, but anyone else, I'd say probably not. Thick skull reduces the chance of a KO result by 50%. If you've completely maxed out your player and you have no idea what to get him for the last skill, and you roll a double, and you're just like, well, I've got everything I need, then maybe thick skull. But I'd say, aside from that, probably not. And yeah, that's all the skills. So basically, guys, we'll the standard first few choices for nearly all of your players should be block and dodge. For your more specialised players, like your witch elves, you know, witch elves start with dodge, so you give them block. Your blitzers start with block, so you can give them dodge. But you can also go, as I've said before, dauntless, strip ball, wrestle, leap. You know, you need to start thinking about how to skill your players and specialize them, so that you can go, all right, you know, they've made a cage. What do I want to do here? I want to take up their tackle zones and then use my wrestle, strip ball, leap, blitzer to get in there and take their ball, for example. So yeah, there you go, guys. Like those are kind of ideas, and that's what I'd suggest. You know, feel free to leave your preferred templates for agility for elf and Skaven characters in the description. You know, this also consider if you're making a Skaven team. Or if you're making like a human team, this doesn't take into account like mutations, and this doesn't take into account the human teams and the teams that may want to try and be agility. You know, so so yeah, really, very much do consider that. You know, don't take what I say as gospel. These are just ideas to kind of help get you started, to help you when you're stuck. You know, if you're not sure, just go, what would Sheepdog do? And then go, oh, he'd take block and dodge probably. Or something that minimises the chance of getting rerolls, of using your team rerolls like dodge and sure feet and sure hands and etc. And, you know, don't be afraid to experiment. Like, if you have a great idea for a blitzer who can, you know, jump up, leap and block and, you know, do a pirouette, go for it. Like, give it a shot. And, you know, if you get doubles and you want to, you know, if you get, like, +1 agility on one of your linemen, and then you get doubles and you want to turn them into a passer, give them pass, and then use them as a passer. You know, see what you can do with that. So, yeah, there you go, guys. I'm not going to finish the match. It finishes 2-all. Not much else happens. I just wanted something visual for you guys. So let's just go forward. Go forward. Go forward. And we can see the last turn. And I'll say, yeah, I'm going to be doing strength-based skill picks. I'm going to be doing more detailed description of the mutation skills. You know, like really get into what they do and when you want to use them and etc. And yeah, interception. That's how I lost the game, by him rolling his second interception 6. So anyway, sorry about my voice, guys. I really am. Like, I did the best I could, but I'm still a bit ill. My voice is still fairly on and off, so I did my best. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It all helps. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.